Yeah, good. Ready?
And you are live, Dr. Judy.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. Dr. Judy WTF with the Freud. And tonight we're going to talk about signs and symptoms of narcissistic abuse. I want to apologize to my audience. Last week I had a family emergency and I just couldn't show up. So hopefully, some of the people that were wanting to listen to last week's episode are tuned in tonight and everything is fine and I'm ready to speak on the topic and answer your questions. And this is really a big deal because years ago we didn't know what narcissistic abuse was. We thought narcissists were those people who were snobs and grandiose and wore gold chains around their necks and drove big cars and yeah, we had a certain image, and now we're finding out that it's a lot more subtle than that. And narcissistic abuse shows up in families, it shows up in relationships, which is a repetitive version of your family of origin. It might show up between you and your coworkers or your boss, or your friends, or really anybody. And I'm here to let you know what to look out for so that if you've been narcissistically abused or triggered, because the template that sets the stage for narcissistic abuse is that a phone call?
Nope, sorry, I was just checking the stream. Sorry about that.
No problem, no problem. Most people that are embroiled in a narcissistic relationship or become narcissistic, or on the other end of the spectrum, become people pleasers, usually grew up in families that were either spoiling them or spoiling them when they did the right thing to please the parents, and then demeaning, devaluing, and destroying them when they did not, or they were emotionally neglected and they had to make up for it by becoming very, very important and sucking up all the attention to compensate for the neglect. So there are many ways that people end up with narcissistic traits. However, what I want you to mainly focus on is how a person makes you feel. So, one telltale sign that I pay attention to is that the 1 plus 1 is less than 2 phenomenon. If you look at my mind map, which I will delve into, you will see panels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so all of this begins with the wounding, the wound, the neglects and the abuses that leave a hole in the soul, that create reactions and poor encodings and then take you down into chaos. And then people develop what Dr. Otto Kernberg back in the day called the narcissistic defense. And this defense was a defense against the fragile inner child, and around it a shell was formed to protect that and act as if they were better than, or act as if they didn't care, or act as if really they took pleasure in other people's pain. So these are those ugly defense mechanisms that show up. They do break down. Usually they break other people down before they break down. And I'm pointing now to panel number 7, which is my paradigm shift panel. It's also the synergy panel, because in a healthy relationship, 1 plus 1 is greater than 2, which is the light. So when you and another person when you two come together, a third entity is formed, which is the interactive entity of creating something that is uniquely better than either one of you individually. And this third entity is what I call synergy. That's why it has so much light coming out of it. So let's say you're working on a project and you and another person are both, you're just creating things and your thoughts are syncing up, and you're getting idea after idea and you're adding to each other's ideas and you're discovering how to make things happen. And one has one talent, the other has another talent, and you're putting it all together. And at the end of this project, you've got this glorious thing because you put your talents and thoughts together and your energy and your intentions of creating something that's better than just what you can create or what the other person can create. Now, in a narcissistic relationship, what happens is the opposite. So panel 3, instead of the light, now has in the center, sorry, made a mistake there, panel 7, the synergy panel with the light in the middle, now has no light at all, because 1 plus the narcissist zaps the light, actually vampires the light, leaving you less than. So one of the signs is that you will be feeling depleted. So if you're feeling that you're in a depleting relationship and you're always trying to give, and no matter how much you give, it's never good enough, and they're taking, and at the end of the day, you feel tired and restless, and you feel isolated, and you feel alone, and you feel like you're not really valued at all. Well, that's what I'm getting at. These are some of the signs and symptoms of narcissism, and they show up in all areas of life. They show up on a physical level, headaches, backaches, just in general, this feeling of not being rested because you're always on edge. You're always worried that you didn't do it right. You're always worried that you'll be discarded. You're always worried that you're going to be demeaned or devalued or destroyed on some level. So it's a very restless place to be. Embroiled with a narcissist is a very restless place to be. And this is a call-in show, everybody. So please call in 323-524-2599. As many of you know, my specialty is helping people heal from narcissistic abuse, and I'm very excited to let you know that I finally finished my video, Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. It is being uploaded as we speak, and it will be available to you. So please reach out to the Psychological Healing Center, reach out to me, the direct number to reach out would be 310-739-4491. I don't know, maybe you could put that up somewhere. But please reach out so that I can direct you to the right plan for you, because there's now this intense video, and then you can pair it with individual sessions with anybody on the team, and you can really deep dive into your psyche, your wounds of childhood, specifically the wound of apathy, and take the journey inwards so that you can paradigm shift. Thank you so much. And you can reach out there, and we'll figure out how is best for you to heal from narcissistic abuse. And if you like webinars, we're having another one. Christiana Davidson is going to be leading another webinar early November, November 5, 12, and 19th to be specific. And so if you guys want to sign up for that, you can, and we'll open that up pretty soon for early registration. The point is that unhealed wounds create the what the Freud, which is the name of the show. And what is a what the Freud? Well, what the Freud is a repetition pattern where you go back into the wounds of the past and you try to heal them by picking a like-minded wounder. So that like-minded wounder might be a lover, spouse, a boss, a friend, anybody. And why do you pick that person? You pick them not because you're stupid. You pick them because you have unfinished business to complete with your family of origin, mainly your primary caregivers, mother, father, whoever these people were for you. Usually they are the ones that left that poor blueprint in you, and therefore you're trying to fix that thing, that incompletion, that feeling of rejection. And so you go and you do it by picking people who will replicate that injury. And then instead of healing it, because don't forget, they're also unhealed, what happens is that you do the dance again. and nobody wins. So you enter into the relationship, and surprise, surprise, you might find at the beginning that everything looks really, really good. Narcissists seem to know how to love bomb people really, really well because they know how to, in essence, lure them in. And so the love bombing phase might look exactly like you want it to look. Deprived of love, you're so thirsty for it so that you will latch on to the person who's buying you flowers and complimenting you and future faking and promising the sun and the moon and the stars, and then not going to happen because that wasn't their intention in the first place. The intention was to get you to work for the sun and the moon and the stars, and well, the sun went down in the sunset, and the moon, I don't know what happened to the moon, and the stars are way too high and way too out of your reach. So they create this false illusion of wonderfulness. Unfortunately, many people fall for it because if life hasn't been all that wonderful, who doesn't want such a wonderful life? It's just that it's short-lived, and the system starts to flip on you. So instead of feeling great and complimented and on top of the world, pretty soon the narcissist starts to withdraw love, and that's only after you're nice and addicted. Maybe you're having a sexual relationship and you're sexually bonding to the person, or maybe you're in a business relationship and you're way deep in and you've got money invested and property invested and intellectual property invested. And so now you're nice and hostage in the situation and you're all tied up in there, and it's very, very hard to extricate yourself. So please call in. I want to know how you have been taken by a narcissist and your signs that you've noticed or maybe didn't notice and maybe are noticing now in hindsight, because you know how it is. Hindsight is 2020. So I know for sure when things are not right, when my body starts to speak to me. And usually it starts to speak to me in my back, in my neck, in my jaws, my stomach sometimes. It also starts to speak to me in terms of feeling emotionally tired and drained. And that's how I know that I really shouldn't be there. And I shouldn't embroil myself with that individual. We're finding out more and more that the body keeps the score. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk has a book called The Body Keeps the Score, and I added another word there. The body keeps the scars, because that's what happens. We keep the emotional scars, and these scars land in our psyche, and they manifest as horrible reactions and horrible negative core beliefs, and then we try to fix those by pairing up with somebody who we hope will fix them. And I think we have a call. Thank you so much. Hello, you are on the couch. Well, what name would you like me to call you? Hi. Are you there? Hello? Hello, hello? Is the caller still there, or did that not
714, you're on the air.
Okay, hello?
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to listen.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, you're on the air. Do you have one now that you'd like to ask a quick question or maybe make a comment about?
I'm not sure what was discussed because I just came on.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what.
Why don't you just continue to listen, and then if you want, if you have a question, call back. And if anybody has a question, please feel free to call back. So, hello, thank you for listening. And the topic is signs and symptoms of narcissistic abuse. And the main one that I was talking about is that when I'm around people who are narcissistic, I do feel vampired. And because I'm sensitive in my body, I'll feel it in my body. It's a somatic thing. So I'll feel it in my back. I'll feel it in my neck. I'll feel it in my shoulders. I'll feel it in my head. I'll feel it in my stomach. I'll feel tired and drained around that person. So, in other words, no light, no light. And for those of you who are people pleasers, and I'm sure you know who you are, people pleasers tend to keep giving and giving and giving, kind of like the ever ready battery. You know, that I think they had that bunny and the battery, and they keep going and going and going until they drop. And that's what happens when a people pleaser meets a narcissist. It's a never ending giving cycle and taking cycle. And by the end of the horrible journey, the people pleaser is really, really drained. And I'm not only talking about physically. Sometimes their bank accounts go down because they've lent the narcissist money. These are some signs and symptoms. Remember, when they make you feel guilty and ask for money and then shame you if you don't give it, and make you feel like you're a bad person if you don't give in, great sign for you to pay attention to. If they are isolating you from your family, if they keep telling you how horrible your relatives are and you're better off not talking to them, if they don't show up to your family functions and insist that you stay home, or maybe even worse, move out of town, cut your family off, and go with them to another location, that's a horrible, horrible sign, because really they're cutting off your main connections, leaving you alone and isolated and desperate. And so they like it that way. Why? Because then they can control you. And this is another sign and symptom. Their main goal is to power and control you. So their connection to you is based on power and control and not love and intimacy. So really they're playing a different game of life. So their game is to get power and control over you so they can suck you dry physically, sexually, financially, spiritually, every which way. And your game is that you want the love and the intimacy, but you're just playing your game with the wrong person, and you're never going to get synergy. So I hope you are learning something about the signs and the symptoms. And one other sign and symptom is that they definitely will trigger off negative core beliefs that you have yet to heal. And that's why I create the mind map and the webinars and the video and so on, so that you can identify your wounds of childhood, how you reacted in this phase of your life, how you encoded horrible belief systems, like beliefs that you're worthless or that you're unlovable, or beliefs that you have to do a lot to please a lot. And these are the things that narcissists like to hook in to in terms of you. So they love the fact that you believe these things, because they will easily trigger those feelings. So at the end of the day, you will feel all of those core beliefs come to the surface. And if you don't dismantle them, number one, they'll dismantle you. And number two, the narcissist will hook into your negative core beliefs and drag you, like kind of like a fish on a hook. They'll just drag you around and manipulate you so that you can prove to them just how worthy you are, or just how lovable you are, or just how sexy you are, or how smart you are. Of course, you never get the carrot, but they do. So that's another sign, is usually you will be in a position to feel that they're getting the better end of the deal. So why are they getting the better end of the deal? Because they absolutely do not believe in synergy. So synergy takes trust. In order to merge with another human being, in order to feel that another human being is an asset in your life and not just an object of use in your life, you have to have some level of trust and some level of connection to human beings. And unfortunately, if you come from a family that is apathetic, that has no empathy, a cold family, or manipulative family, you learn that people are objects. You don't learn that people are lovable. And I think we have a call. So, hello, welcome.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, hello. Thank you for calling in. And
How are you, Dr. Judy?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
So,
Hey, we're talking about surviving narcissist abuse, right?
yes, that's exactly right.
I just want... Pardon me, I didn't hear you.
What is the name that you'd like me to call you by?
Monique.
Monique, thank you so much for calling in, Monique. Okay, so what's going on? What the Freud is going on in your life?
Well, I survived it all, the financial, the emotional, the physical, the psychological, and I am left with a disorder, Hashimoto's. It's immune, and I'm at my own home, gratefully, and I just want to know what I can do because my grandchildren are hurting with me walking away after 35 years.
I'm really sorry to hear about how it manifested physically, and you walked away from who after 35 years?
My ex-husband.
Okay, and your grandchildren are suffering because you walked away from them?
Yes, they are just in, I can't even describe the word to you because they think Grandma did it wrong, and Grandma really did it right because Grandma has the right to live and be healthy.
Right, and so again, I think of this as a system gone terribly wrong, and what narcissists like to do is flip the system. So they flip it on you. Grandma did it wrong. They get to abuse you, they get to take your joy away, your money away, they get to take your time away, and then they end up dumping in your lap that it's all your fault, and they scapegoat you, and then the children see that. What are they supposed to believe? I mean, you're the one that left in their eyes, so you're the bad one. What kind of relationship do you have with your grandchildren at this stage of your life?
Oh, I love them all dearly. I have one that's 23, one that is 18, one that is 14, one that is 13, one that is 3, and one that is 2. I've been blessed.
Congratulations. I just got a new one. I have my Alexander, who I talk about. Alexander's going to be almost 11. Well, he's going to be 11. And then I have a brand new little granddaughter. And she's about a week and almost 2 weeks old. So, obviously I'm very, very interested in the next generation because in essence, that's a lot of why I do this work is because I want my family to be healthy. And the only way I know how to do that is for me to be healthy and pass these things down to the next generation, which I make a really big deal about in my videos and my work. And this latest video, I mean, the theme is pay it forward to the next generation. And so I think talking to your grandchildren and psychoeducating them, and I have all kinds of videos and the YouTube, of course, you can pay that forward to them, and the free copy of the PDF, Be the Cause, Healing Human Disconnect, you can all avail yourselves of that. It's free, and we will download it to you if you sign up at psychologicalhealingcenter.com. And so
I will do that.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Just, click, 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 click. 4 grandchildren, I mean, I guess the 3-year-old can't read yet, But I'm telling
Well,
you, maybe she can. But even children can learn the mind map. And so maybe look at it as a psychoeducational conversation with them. And if they're angry at you for leaving, help them ask you the right questions. Like a good question would be, so Grandma, why did you leave Grandpa? And you don't have to
and
demean it.
they did. And I was honest, Dr. Judy. I just said, he doesn't talk or treat me right.
Okay, fair enough. And their answer back was what?
Well, Grandma, just because you watched YouTube videos, and she goes, my granddaughter, she goes, I want a list of the name of the doctors that you listen to because I think they're wrong about Grandpa. You don't have a degree, and how do you know? And, I mean, I know it's hurt her and upset the apple cart, but I'm hoping, in the long run, she'll understand that when you love yourself, when you take care of yourself, you want the best for yourself and everyone around you. You don't want anybody coming in and stealing your energy and making you not feel very good anymore.
One thought that just occurred to me is that they have a different experience of Grandpa, okay? And
Yeah.
they're allowed to feel love and joy around him, and you can explain that to them too. Look, he's your grandpa. And so the
Yeah.
relationship is different. And maybe you see him as a kind and fun guy, and that's fantastic. And I'm really glad
Amen.
that you get to see that side of him. And that's it. And you can, if they say, well, how come you didn't stay with him? Well, unfortunately, that's not the side of him that I got. And that's okay, because I love you.
Right.
He loves you. You love him. You love me. And that's the most important thing. Okay.
Have you ever heard of, Dr. Judy, have you ever heard of someone saying, well, you just want us to pick sides? That's not true at all. And I hope God judges me in the end, because that's not true at all. I don't want sides. I just want truth, love,
yes,
good things, for a better life.
Yes. And so, children, I'll quote Alice Miller here. Alice Miller, author of Drama of the Gifted Child, and she says that a child likes to preserve their view of the parent, or in this case, the grandparent. They don't want to see anybody as bad, okay? And so if you darken the image of your ex, they don't want to see it. They don't want to know it. So then don't. Keep away from that and just enjoy them. And if they ask, you could just, as you generally said, we weren't a good match. Unfortunately, we weren't a good match. However, it seems like you.
And I just want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to leave it at that. There doesn't need to be a long, adult, drawn-out thesis, educational video on why I left.
No.
Just short, simple, and sweet.
Now, if you see that your grandchildren are dating narcissists and are being abused and used by their girlfriends or boyfriends or friends or co-workers or whatever, then you can gently invite a peaceful healing conversation, which, by the way, is in my book. And you could say, can I talk to you about such and such and so and so? And that conversation always starts with permission. And then if they say yes, you could say, I just want to express my concern. I don't want to ignore this, but I've noticed that your friend, whoever, is always putting you down. And every time you leave your friend, you feel sad and angry and irritated. And it's sad for me to watch that. What's going on? Okay, so what people need is sometimes an enlightened witness, because people pleasers, people who are not narcissists, do something that I call positive projection. And positive projection is projecting the best onto a person, even though the person hasn't earned it. So in other words, it's a rose-colored glasses thing. They'll look at that person through rose-colored glasses. And if you're clear-sighted and they're not clear-sighted, then you can add a little clear-sightedness and question them so that they don't go down this path of being derailed and ending up in destructive relationships like you did.
Right. You're very smart, Dr. Judy.
Well, thank you. And I want you to be very smart and the audience to be very smart. And that's why I teach this stuff, so that you can think like a shrink. I know it sounds corny, but you got to think like a shrink. And since I'm not a fan of long, drawn out therapy, unless the person really needs the support, and I understand that. But if you're not learning something in your sessions, if you're not becoming
growing
wiser and more attuned to yourself and attuned to these traps that narcissists get us in, because they know how to do it. You know, have you ever been to Vegas?
Vegas?
Las Vegas.
No.
Okay. Have you ever?
I just heard that
Have you ever?
I just heard. No, I'll try not to. No.
Not to.
I was just told what happens. I was told that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I've never been there.
All right. Well, I'm not going to let it stay in Vegas, because I'm going to tell you what happens in Vegas is you put your money in there. The secret's out. You put your money in there and you lose it, and then bingo, you get a few trickles of coins back, and you get so excited that you put a bunch more money in there, and then you lose that, and then you try to get your money back, and you keep feeding the machine. So that is called intermittent reinforcement. That's what Vegas banks on. They bank on intermittent reinforcement, which is that they only reward you a little bit and sometimes. And that's like a narcissist. They'll reward you a little bit, and at the end you have breadcrumbs, and those little breadcrumbs become more and more precious, kind of like the little tinkle of the money coming out of the machine. Okay. And then you think, wow, you know, he bought me dinner. She did something exceptional for me, or whatever it is, whatever the special love bombing thing is. And then you up the ante and you put more coins in their slot machine, and they get happier and happier, and they're winning and you're losing. And then just before you're going to give up, because that happens too, you know, if things go too long, they give you something, a little crumb of bread, and then, oh, wow, I was wrong about them. They are sweet, they are kind, they are generous. You see how this goes?
I do. 35 years, Dr. Judy. Oh, I made it out alive.
Well, congratulations. And, you know, the way I like to put it is that once you have that paradigm shift and you see what you see, you can't unsee it.
Amen.
Okay? Right? And in my book,
right.
I talk about Copernicus and his view of the universe, and him coming out to say, you know, the sun is the center of the universe. And the humans are saying, no, the earth is the center of the universe, because we're very egocentric, you know, we're number one, we're the center. And he said, no, look at my instruments, I will prove you wrong. And then he showed through his telescope, right, that indeed we aren't the center of the universe, and people didn't like that. And then finally they had to see the truth, and then there was a big paradigm shift, and now we know that we're not the center of the universe. So speaking of metaphors, now you know your narcissist is not the center of your universe, okay? And so you take your power.
No.
What?
When I took my power back, I'm the center of my universe.
That's right. You are the center of your universe. And if somebody wants to add to that, great. And if you want to add to their center of their universe, and it creates synergy, beautiful. But if you keep adding and adding and adding, and they're puffing up and getting filled and filled and filled and filled, and you're getting weaker and weaker and poorer, and not only financially, but poorer emotionally, your health is failing, well, that's a problem. And now we know, according to all these mind-body experts like Dr. Bessel van der Kolk and a lot of other people who study the human body and trace disease to dis-ease, because I don't like to call it a disease. I like to call things a dis-ease, because we're not at ease, understand? And when we're not at ease, our bodies will attack ourselves, because this stuff lives within us and it's nasty.
And that's what makes me so angry, because he knew that if he could get an emotion or say something off the cuff to catch me off guard, not prepared for his ways, that my reaction, positive or negative, it didn't matter in the end. But in the beginning,
I was going to say, they really, really, really feed off of, it's a sadistic thing. The more you cry, the more you suffer, the more you show them that you're upset, the happier they are. It's almost formulaic. You could make a little formula. The worse you feel, the better they feel. There's your formula.
Well, my formula, I think the light bulb moment, Dr. Judy, was one night when I was laying down, too tired, too weak, to not get up and get 2 aspirin. And he's laying right next to me, and I said, sweetheart, would you please get up and get me 2 aspirin and a small sip of water? And he said, absolutely not. And that was the light bulb moment.
Well, aren't you?
I was done.
Aren't you lucky that he said those words? And, I'm going to point to panel number 6 now, because that's what happened to you. You had to have a relationship break down to have the light bulb break through. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes people have to really break down to break through. And so all the work that I created, the pathway to healing, is so that we could intercept it before the big breakdown and catch it and be proactive about it and learn this stuff, so that you don't have to wait until your dis-ease turns into a body attacking autoimmune disease, or you don't wait until you're so exhausted that you can't even get up to get yourself a sip of water and 2 aspirin. Okay, but I'm so glad for you, and this is in the best way, that my intentions are the best, that he did that, because that was the final straw, and you needed that final straw to say goodbye.
Absolutely. Otherwise I would have been there till I died.
Yeah, imagine if he love bombed you right then and there and thought, ooh, she's going to leave. I better get her 2 aspirins and sip of water. And then you give him more credit than credit is due. What a nice guy. He actually got me 2 aspirin.
2 aspirin.
Wow, what amazing. Oh my God, the love of my life got me a sip of water.
You can look back after all of it, and with the help of good doctors like you and Ross and all of you that help people stay well, be well, think well, do well. I have so appreciated the time on your couch tonight, Dr. Judy.
You're so welcome, and you and everybody else. I'm really, really pleased with this video, Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. It's really, really well produced. I tried to make a video back in the day, and the production was just such poor quality. I actually trashed it because I didn't feel good about it, and that's the way I am. I once did that to a bathroom I poured tons of money into. I didn't like it. my boys were there at the time, and the new contractor looked at it and said, "Lady, this is horrible quality." And I said, "In front of my children, take it out like a sore tooth." And my boys looked at me and said, "Mom, what? You just put all this money into the bathroom." I said, "I don't care. I just created a big problem. Get it out of here." So, okay, so that's the way.
Right.
So this one, I really, really, really feel good about it. It's full of very interesting little movie clips to help you remember concepts, and really great organized structure. And for those of you who never want to see me for any kind of counseling or anything, just use my video to heal. And if you need extra intervention, then you could get some extra intervention with anybody on the team, really. But it is a complete healing plan. So people reach out to me.
I am ready.
Yeah, just reach out to
I'm
me.
ready to go, Doctor.
Yeah, I'll put together what I think will be most suitable for you. And again, you know,
I definitely want to talk.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, Dr. Judy. I wanted to tell you about some dreams that I can connect
Okay.
sometime, not tonight.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I will reach out to you, and I will work through your program to see what more healing, more wellness will come my way.
It's an endless journey for me too, even though I teach this stuff and created this beautiful mind map. You know, if anybody out there thinks that I don't get triggered, well, you're very wrong, very wrong. And my latest triggers are my new dog. Actually, he drives me insane in the membrane. Love him to pieces, never give him up. And then my grandson, love him to pieces, will never give him up. But you know, I can't wait to see how my granddaughter turns out to be. But you know, sometimes you get these, I call them life's challenges, cursed by designs, the universe testing you. And it's to show you really in your own psychological mirror, how you doing? Are you losing it? Are you evolving? Are you devolving? Are you copycatting the blueprint?
I think I'm doing pretty darn good for the shape I'm in, if that makes sense.
Amazing. Well, you know, the reason I did this show, Signs and Symptoms of Narcissism, is because we're walking around with complex PTSD, which to me means unhealed wounds from the childhood that are then replicated in adulthood. And those symptoms include flashbacks and somatic disorders and dreams, right? And all kinds of avoidance behaviors and triggers through smell and sight and sound and so on. And so we've got to understand what is going on with us, because it's not out of the thin air. It's not our fault. And we were blueprinted and groomed to sign up for these horrible systems gone wrong. And it's only us that can psychoeducate ourselves and get us out of what I call the double dungeon of darkness, okay? Because we're trapped in there. We can't turn to our mothers. They don't help. We can't turn to our fathers. They don't help. We can't turn inward because we're feeling weak. We try to turn to a new relationship, and then we find out that relationship does it to us too. So the only way to turn is toward psychoeducation, healing, learning who done it, what happened, why we're in this hot mess, and how to escape from this horrendous psychological prison. And that's why I have it so structured. It's not just therapy. You know, I have a pet peeve against therapy. Hi, how you doing? Okay, let's talk about that next time. Thank you for sharing. Bye. You know, no roadmap, no map. Come on. I was just talking to somebody today, and she was telling me, well, that's such a good money-making model. And I said, no way. Now imagine if I were giving you talk useless therapy that went nowhere, okay? What would you think of me? Not very good. Would you refer any people to me? Not really. So where's the good business model of dragging people years and years into endless talk therapy? I don't see the good business model. So, there goes that argument in my mind. What you do is you
Right out the window.
you have to be ethical. You have to know your stuff, help a lot of people, do it as quickly as you can, and spread the word. And that will come back in the form of light.
Well, don't forget, Dr. Judy, you are healing the world right now.
Well, I appreciate.
I don't know how far and wide you go or the airwaves. I can't even get a right TV signal where I'm at, Dr. Judy, but our signal was good tonight.
Yeah.
And I just can't thank you enough time on your couch.
You're so welcome, and I appreciate you sharing your story. And please keep in touch, okay?
I'll be back in touch with you, I hope, someday soon.
Okay.
Keep up the good work. We need you. We need you, all right?
That's so kind. I really appreciate that. Okay.
I mean, I'm not just saying that. I mean that, Dr. Judy. You're awesome. Good night.
Good night. Okay. Well, based on that, I'll try to take really good care of myself and keep on ticking for a really long time. I've got a lot of people, including my grandchildren, who want to enjoy their grandma, and a lot of people who I hope I can psychoeducate and get off this horrible treadmill of narcissistic abuse. And I'm so glad that it's blatantly out there now. People know what it is. What are the signs and symptoms? And some of them that I mentioned tonight, feeling isolated and being triggered and feeling less than and being afraid and settling for breadcrumbs and experiencing psychosomatic symptoms and feeling like you have to keep giving in order to get something, and giving too much to the point where you're depleted. So these are some of the signs of narcissistic abuse. And if you're in a narcissistic abusive relationship, chances are that your parents were not exactly the best blueprint for you. Either they spoilt you and made you into a human doing, or maybe they ignored you and they lacked the empathy to really connect with you. And you don't have to follow the blueprint from your family of origin. You get to be the cause. You get to redo your life and be the cause of part 2 of your life, because you certainly can't be the cause of part 1, because you're in a hostage situation. You don't pick your mother, your father, your caregivers. Those are people that are chosen for you. So now's the time to choose yourself, and there is a plan for you. And if you tell me what's going on with you through a personal consultation, I can advise the best plan for you, whether it be the webinar or one-on-one treatment or doing the videos. We could figure all of that out. And so just know that I'm available to talk to you about all of these things, and mainly foolproof yourself against narcissists by becoming psychoeducated and very wise to these things, so that you don't really fall into the trap like many people have, and many people still are falling into this trap, and you don't have to. So if there are no other questions, are there any other questions in the chat room? Any comments that I should
there is one question I can read to you and see if you want to approach it. It says, does being the scapegoat child set you up for further abuse, including gang stalking, when the narcissist gathers their flying monkeys?
Well, I have to know more about how you scapegoated, but usually the scapegoats will escape. okay? Because they're the ones that will just have, it's too much on them. But if you're being targeted and scapegoated, if that's what you mean, then yes, they will send their flying monkeys. They'll absolutely make you crazy because they want you to conform to their agenda. And if you don't, then the heat is on, pressure's on. You might get pressure from your aunts, uncles, your siblings. And I did a show called Sibling Rivalry, Parents Are the Cause, because they set siblings up to rival and hate themselves. So if they're scapegoating you, if you're the target of the family and you're the symptom bearer of the family, that's because all of their nasty feelings are being projected on you. They don't want to own their own stuff. They don't want to take responsibility. So better you bear the burden, and better you be the target of their disgusting agenda to control and demean and to make you feel less than. So if you're the scapegoat, then study up on it. I have a lot of YouTube videos about scapegoats, and you can listen to those. And then I'm sure there are books on it, and do read my book, Be the Cause: Healing Human Disconnect, because you will see the whole system. Again, it's a system, okay? And so the golden child is part of the system, the scapegoat is part of the system, and people play different roles because at the end of the game, the bad game, parents do not want to own their own stuff, and they want to blame and shame everybody else and reward the compliant ones and punish the non-compliant ones. Okay, so hopefully you will escape from the system and not buy into any bit of it, because it's a system gone wrong that'll take you down. Any other thoughts or comments, anything?
Mostly just chatter, but that's about the question that they were asking.
Okay, and if you would be so kind as to put up my new video, which I'm really, really excited about. And there it is. Be the Cause Mind Map Journey video series, Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. Uploaded tonight and available in the next day or two. Contact me about it, and I'll be happy to tell you more and see if it's an appropriate journey for you. And for those of you who do not like to be in therapy or don't want to even see anybody, it really is a complete plan for healing. It comes with my book, the journal, the video, of course, and it's got a few little nuggets in there that I think you'll appreciate, like a mock patient that goes through the process. So I had a lot of fun doing it, and I hope that you get a lot of value out of the work that I put into it. And again, signs and symptoms of narcissistic abuse abound, and you don't have to be at the effect of it. And the whole point of all of this work is to put you in a causal place. Be the cause, not at the effect of narcissists. So I will see everybody next week. Thank you so much for listening in. Good night, everybody.